Hey, I know the season came to an end in disappointing fashion yesterday, but that's all right. We turn the page into the offseason, and the content doesn't stop, even though the season is over. So, subscribe to the channel. Help us reach our next goal as we continue to bring you Dolphins coverage every single day. And today, we got a lot to talk about. Buckle up. It's Dolphins Today. All right, the dust has settled, and that bitter taste in everyone's mouth is still there. It was a tough pill to swallow yesterday, witnessing our Dolphins on the road in the opening round of the AFC playoffs in the wild card matchup against the Chiefs fall oh so short. And on today's show, we are talking about what's next for the Miami Dolphins. A lot of question marks moving into the offseason. Among those questions, and arguably the biggest question, is what does the future hold for Tua Tagovailoa as the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins? We'll discuss that and, of course, segue and parlay that into the biggest offseason needs for this Miami Dolphins team. And again, the season is over because the Kansas City Chiefs were far and away the better team last night at Arrowhead Stadium at home in frigid temperatures, no less, to the tune of 26-7. Tough game for Tua, 20 of 39, only 199 yards passing with the one interception that led to a Chiefs field goal. Patrick Mahomes, not his best game, but he didn't have to be that good when the Chiefs defense suffocated the Dolphins offense to the tune of just 7 points. Mahomes did finish with 262 yards passing and a touchdown. Ground game wasn't working, and you saw our instant reaction video. There was a lot of things that were not working for that Dolphins offense. So now it's time to turn the page into the offseason. And I think what I walked away as I rewatched that game, one of the bigger concerns was the fact that this Dolphins team looked like they didn't want to be there on Saturday night. And I know it was cold, but the body language for a win or go home game was not indicative of the stakes of that game. And it's another first-round exit for the Mike McDaniel-led Miami Dolphins. The similarities of the first two seasons from Mike McDaniel are there. Hot start, fade down the stretch, limp into the playoffs, first-round exit. And when you look at Tua Tagovailoa in that game against Kansas City, again, it's not squarely on him. Football is a team game, but really a lack of production. 20 of 39, less than 200 yards passing, and the one interception, just the one touchdown pass. Now, a lot of slander around Tua Tagovailoa, even leading up to this game, which is why his future is in such question. But you got to also add in the positives. And I know I've read the comments. You're sick of hearing the stats. Well, he still did lead the NFL in passing yards in 2023. But that did not correlate into the postseason. But the biggest knock, 1-6 versus teams with winning records. So the stats at times are there. The results against good teams are not. Now, all that said, just about everybody's got an opinion on Tua Tagovailoa. So I want to know in the comments what yours is. Let me know if you think Tua is the future of this franchise. Those that have backed Tua, like myself, will point to the stats and say, how can you get rid of the guy that's the best passer in the NFL, that leads the NFL in passing yards? That's second in completion percentage. That's second in yards per attempt. All of those metrics, Tua grades out very favorably. But those that say no will say he's doing it against bad teams. He can't win the big game. And I think there's substance on both ends of the argument, which is what makes it so compelling. So let me know in the comments. Type Y for yes if you think Tua is the future, and for no if you're ready to move on from Tua Tagovailoa and find a new quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Coming up, we're going to break down Mike McDaniel's first 2 years at the helm for the Miami Dolphins and some similar questions. What's the future for Mike McDaniel's heading into the offseason? But first, I want to tell you about today's presenting sponsor, Game Time. It's the only ticketing app I have because it's the only one you need for all of your live events. I'm telling you guys, Game Time is the app to use. Super easy to use app, and most importantly, they guarantee the lowest price possible. And now that we're turning the page from football season into basketball season, go see the Miami Heat. Use the Game Time app. Maybe you want to get out to the pitch and see some soccer action. Well, Game Time's great for that. In fact, Game Time's great for concerts as well. Any live event, Game Time's your one-stop shop. They make it easy. You get the lowest price guaranteed. And most importantly, they specialize in last-minute ticket deals. So if you're a procrastinator like me, you're actually in luck because Game Time specializes in those last-minute ticket deals with the lowest price guaranteed. So download the Game Time app today. Use that promo code FINSCHAT that you see in the bottom right of your screen there, FINSCHAT, PHINSCHAT, for $20 off your first purchase when you create an account. So take the stress out of buying tickets to live events. That's where Game Time comes in. Terms do apply. But download that Game Time app. Use the promo code FINSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. You'll be glad you did. We love you and we care about you, so we'll put that link right in the comments and description of today's video. Download the Game Time app. Take the stress out of buying tickets to live events and guarantee the lowest price with Game Time. Now, Mike McDaniel, 2 seasons, 2 playoff appearances. Very good. Flashy offense, putting up big numbers, but 2 early round playoff exits. And by early round, I mean first round exits. So just like with Tua Tagovailoa, there's a lot to consider with Mike McDaniel. And we'll start with the naysayers, and perhaps we'll let a naysayer know, if you will. His combined record in the months of December and January, just 4-10. Not great. Obviously, I don't have to tell you that. You know 4-10 is not going to cut it in December and January. You could classify that as crunch time, down the stretch. Back-to-back first-round exits means he's 0-2 in his postseason career as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And the biggest one is the narrative from the 2024 season, and the Dolphins just never squashed that narrative. 1-6 versus teams with winning records. That lone win on Christmas Eve against the Dallas Cowboys at Hard Rock Stadium. They just could not beat the good teams on the road. So there's going to be people that say it. I've read the comments. I've seen it online. I've seen it on Twitter. And people are talking, is Mike McDaniel on the hot seat? Despite the 2 playoff appearances in his first 2 seasons, they were both first-round exits. And you go back and forth on this because you always want to be careful of not looking at the grass being greener on the other side, but at the same time, it's the National Football League. So there's a lot to consider with Mike McDaniel, whether or not he's on the hot seat. I've got this question for you. Do you want McDaniel back as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins next season? If you want him to be your head coach of the Miami Dolphins in the aqua and orange, type HC for me in the comments. If he needs to go, let him know in the comments. I'm very curious where the Dolphins Nation is at on this one, where Dolphins fans are at on this one. If he needs to go, type see ya in the comments, and I'll get the picture there. HC for head coach, or see ya if he needs to go. Now, part of the offseason questions, in addition to Tua's future, in addition to what's next for Mike McDaniel, is how Chris Grier in the front office will address the pending free agency situation as well as the cap deficit. Now, we're going to continue to break this down all offseason because, again, it is a huge question at the focus of what the 2024 offseason will look like for the Miami Dolphins, and it starts with those 2024 free agents. Now, there are more than this, but this is the hit you in the face, big time, big name list that your jaw is going to hit the floor when you read every single one of these names. Andrew Van Ginkel, Jerome Baker, Christian Wilkins, Connor Williams, Cedric Wilson, Braxton Berrios, Isaiah Wynn, Rob Hunt, Nick Needham, DeShon Elliot. Now, I think you point to Nick Needham and say, yeah, Cater Kohu outplayed him. Ethan Bonner's a guy that has shown a lot. Even Cam Smith is a second-round pick. Yeah, Nick Needham probably falling out of favor there. Now, offensively, on the offensive line, there's a lot of questions to concern. Connor Williams went down in that Monday night game against the Tennessee Titans and was done for the season. Is Liam Eichenberg a good enough center to let Connor Williams go as a contract casualty? It's a number. There's a whole host and multitude of questions that have to be considered for this Dolphins team in the offseason. It's only day one of the offseason, so we'll pump the brakes a little bit, but get the wheels turning a little bit when you think about what this roster construction will look like moving forward, especially on the defensive end, because on the defensive side, I should say, because there are major questions on both offense and defense. But when you look at the way this Dolphins defense progressed, there's a lot to be proud of and a lot of potential for this Dolphins defense, starting with the ability to get pressure on the quarterback, third most sacks in the NFL in the regular season. And Vic Fangio, his first season as the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, started off a little bit rocky early in the regular season, but the Dolphins finished 10th in total defense, very respectable, 20th in scoring defense. They had a couple of lapses that really drove that number up, but when Jalen Ramsey returned, this was a different Dolphins defense. When they had their full arsenal of pass rushers, this was a lethal Dolphins defense. With Bradley Chubb going down, Andrew Van Ginkel going down, Jerome Baker going down, Jalen Phillips going down, Xavier Howard wasn't in the last game. I mean, Javon Holland, rather. The list goes on and on for the injuries that this defense dealt with. But at full strength, you look at some of the numbers they put up, and you should feel pretty good about this defense moving into the offseason, assuming the Dolphins will be able to retain the impact players on the defensive side of the ball. And let's not forget, third most sacks in the NFL, and analytically speaking, the second best sack rate in the NFL per opponent's pass drop rating. So all of that said, you got a lot of questions on the offense and on the defense. Let me know in the comments, who does Miami need to prioritize this offseason? We showed you that list of some of the biggest names on the books to become free agents in 2024. So let me know in the comments who Miami needs to prioritize this season. I think a lot of those priorities shift to the defensive side of the ball, because we've seen it. This defense could be really good next year. And if and when that offense has some shortcomings, to be able to have a strength of the team being on the defensive side of the ball, that will be crucial. But hey, a lot of decisions to be made moving forward. It's only day one of the offseason, but as the season comes to an end, yet again with a first-round exit, I think there are more questions than answers that Chris Grier and company will have to address. Same can be said with if Mike McDaniel's the guy and whether or not Tua Tagovailoa is going to be extended and be the franchise quarterback for the Aqua and Orange moving forward. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Huge shout out to Jack Lauderay on the ones and twos for today and all season long. As we said yesterday on our watch party, an absolute pleasure bringing you all the Dolphins content each and every day this season, as well as our live shows and our live watch parties. And the content doesn't stop despite it being the off season. So if you're new around here, it's real simple. Subscribe to the channel. If you love it, stick around. We got a Dolphins video for you every single day. If you don't like it after a week, even though it'll break my heart, you can leave. But super proud of everyone that's made Dolphins Today what it is. Really appreciative of Jack Lauderay and everything that he does for this program. And as always, Dolphins Today strives to bring you the best Dolphins content on YouTube. That's why you subscribe. And until next time, have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are on Dolphins Today.